Welcome back to Virginia this morning. We've all procrastinated on doing something at least once before in our lives. And in this segment, Bill talks with an expert about this very interesting topic. Here's that conversation.
Here's a question for you. If you have a task or a special project, do you get it done in a timely fashion? Or do you procrastinate and put things off to the absolute last minute? Nobody I know does that. All right, well, it's time to talk about National Procrastination Week. We put it off as long as we can, and our next guest shares some insights on how to help. And we welcome Mitchell Creasey, award-winning executive coach, back to Virginia this morning. Hey, Mitchell, good to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you too, Bill. Thanks for having me.
This is so hard to, and I think it's something we all learn in life, that you can put things off, but for so long, and then you got to get them done.
You know what? As human beings, our very nature is to always ask, what's next? We're always looking for that next thing. But when we procrastinate, really what we do is deny ourselves our own next. And while that might feel comfortable in the moment, over time, it starts to lead to stagnation and a drain on our own energy.
I'm a big list guy. I don't know about you, Mitchell, but I put things on a list, and it makes me really feel good when I can check things off the list, and that way I don't put them off. Now, I might, when I'm looking at the list, I want to say that one till last, but it does help.
Absolutely. A list is never a bad thing. Whenever we can create some sort of clarity, whether it be via list, whether it be asking ourselves some questions to understand why we're actually resisting, the questions or the list create clarity, and clarity shortens the distance between thinking and doing.
Oh, we got to always do that. All right, you got a couple of really, like, three main points here, and I want to get to those. One of the things you say that helps you keep from procrastinating is front loading the fun onto maybe your list.
So this is for the boring stuff, the Saturday afternoon Costco runs, the picking up, the dropping off, the errands, the stuff we put off. And what front loading fun is if you didn't have to do those errands, what fun thing would you be doing in the day? We want to take that and we want to slide it to the top of our day. So, Bill, for you, getting outside in nature, maybe that's something we do first thing in the morning. When we do, we anchor in the positive. And when we do that, our brain is more likely to seek it out as the day continues. So we would be less likely to complain at line in Costco, and more likely to, say, willingly participate in our child's TikTok video to create a bonding moment.
Okay. Right. So the next point that you got here is ask questions of yourself. Why am I dreading this? Why do I put it off? And get that in your brain, and then maybe you can deal with it better. Is that right?
Absolutely. So this is for the scary stuff. So say you have to have a difficult conversation with a family member or an employee, and you notice yourself resisting. When we start to ask questions of that resistance, like you said, like, what meaning am I assigning to this? Why am I actually resisting it? And what do I believe will happen once this situation is resolved? Those questions help to create clarity, which again, shorten the gap between thinking and doing.
So that makes all of this makes perfect sense, but still we continue to put things off. So this is going to be a real helpful little project to work on, Mitchell. I really appreciate it. You have the last thing on your list here is make micro moves. What does that mean?
So this is for the big stuff, the big projects that, oh my gosh, I want to do this and I'll get to it, but I got to block off a lot of time to get it done. So say you just hired your first employee or maybe you've decided you're going to write a book, rather than, say, renting a cabin in the woods for 3 months and not seeing your family while you knock out a draft. Instead, just open your laptop and keep it open on the kitchen counter. That way, when you have an idea, you can just jot it down. The easier the access, the more action, the less procrastination.
And having the laptop on the counter is much better than something I do from time to time. Is I keep a notepad on the bedstand, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night, write something down. Next day I look at it and go, I don't have a clue what that meant.
What was I talking about?
And I'll spend half a day trying to figure out what I was thinking about in the middle of the night, and I never, ever reconnect it. So I like the laptop on the counter much better.
It helps us come back to it. Absolutely. We've all been there, Bill, not to worry.
So a personal question for you. Did you start out as a procrastinator? Are you one of those people that did it and then learned from it and now you can help other people avoid it? Or have you always been a guy that's been getting it done?
Well, it's a bit of an ebb and flow, and it's always a work in progress. But I will say this, when you commit to asking questions or breaking things down into really, really easy steps to complete, or starting with something fun that fills you up, all of the things that you've dreaded don't become a big deal anymore. So it's much easier to complete. And as I said, when we commit to practicing that, it just gets easier and easier with time.
Well, you're an easy guy to talk to. I really enjoyed it, Mitchell. We appreciate you. And I'm going to work on some of these because I do tend to kind of hide from things once in a while. Great information today, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill.
All right. We're going to put more information up put a link on our show website by early this afternoon, WTVR.com/VTM.
Bill, I think that's a handy tip. I can definitely get on board with front loading the fun. Sometimes it's, hard to wait to work your way to the end of that list when you have something fun at the beginning. Maybe it's get you there faster.
It's interesting. And the other point I got out of that was the micro, set your goals attainable. And I always go back to a conversation that had a huge impact on me of a friend of mine who was a cross-country trucker. And I asked him, what's it like to drive all the way across the country? He said, you don't drive all the way across the country. You leave Richmond, you drive to Nashville. You go from Nashville to Albuquerque and then, on down the line. So you take it in bites, doable bites. And that was part of Mitchell's advice as well.
And that does, in those bite-sized pieces of the trip, it makes it easier to swallow, right? You don't have to look at the whole thing in front of you. Front loading the fun, taking those small bites is a good thing. And I'm with you. I love a good checklist. I do it every day, and without it, I'm a little adrift. So I do think you have to find whatever system works for you. I've got, an old school notebook. I use another digital list. I've got it covered. But if you get a system and stick with it, that does help. And a list is a good one.
It obviously makes a difference. And it's something that whatever works for you to get the job done, if that's what it takes for you to get it done. And, I couldn't get things done with it. I have to have a list. I pretty much, or I'll drift away. I'm so easily distracted. Squirrel. So, it's like I'll be gone. So I have to make sure that I follow the list.
But speaking of list, and I did this last week, friends, I wrote a list. And then when I needed to go actually do the thing, it was like the errands and the couple of bits of shopping that I had to do. I couldn't remember where I put the list. And then I think I left it in the car. So a lot of good that did me. It's got to be a system you can get back to and not leave in the cup holder of your car.
Be able to find. Now we got to make duplicate lists. Oh my gosh. Now it's another job. Oh, well.
Oh my gosh. I think this would be a good conversation. We should probably put this out there as one of our subjects for top 6 picks. How is it that you keep yourself organized?
Yeah.
Yes. I would love to know secret hacks.
I'm sure somebody smarter than us has figured out a great system, and we'll hear from them about that.
We welcome it. Every little bit of help that we can get is good to go. But interesting conversation. So that was a good one. And hey, this is one you could add to the list for tomorrow, isn't it, Bill?
All right. It's coming up March 9th. That is tomorrow from 6 till 7:30 p.m. Area students in grades 7 through 12 and their families in the RVA area have a unique opportunity to talk virtually with employers to learn about careers in various fields such as television, public relations, designers, and those are just a few of what's available.
It's all part of the Life Ready Expo focusing on arts and communication. I'm honored to be part of the presentation. Shelby Brown is also going to be part of the conversation. For all the information, visit henricocte.com for a link to join all the fun. That's tomorrow evening, March 9th. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Virginia This Morning.